Welcome. And you tuned in to another edition of Homage Speaks. Well, when homage is due, homage is paid. And right now, we got to talk about one of my favorite topics in all of sports: coaching matters. And nobody knows coaching matters until it matters. Now, I've been having several debates all week in reference to Doug Peterson and one Nick Foles. I think Carson Wentz is a good quarterback, good young quarterback, but we all know that he was not 100% healthy. I've been trying to explain to the people that the reason why Carson Wentz went out there because he had to reestablish himself as the leader of that football team as QB1. Anybody who's ever played football, anybody who's familiar with that position knows that that's the most prestigious position in all of sports. QB1. Ever since Carson Wentz was a young man, little kid, taking snaps under center, he dreamed of being in the Super Bowl. And Nick Foles took his life. Every day that man wakes up, he wakes up with a new drive and a new passion to get back and take what's his. Combine that with Nick Foles' incentive-based contract, the Philadelphia Eagles said we got to get our guy back out here, and we got to get him back out here very fast. But it's one thing that I feel about Nick Foles. I feel that Nick Foles is the leader of the Philadelphia Eagles. Why do I say that? Carson Wentz was probably going to be the NFL MVP last year. He had a tremendous season, but it is something about going through the trenches, going through the battles, going through the wars with Nick Foles, and you will see it kind of reminds me of when Trent Green got hurt and Dick Vermeil said our team will rally behind Kurt Warner. This Philadelphia Eagles team rallied behind Nick Foles. They always rally behind him. You see players step up their game, play to the maximum of their ability because they know they have to overcompensate for the loss of a great quarterback, and they're playing with a good quarterback. Also, I feel like that he allows Doug Peterson to call a more cleaner game, more balanced, having the opportunity to coach Nick Foles versus Carson Wentz. We know that Carson Wentz has the better arm talent. He's the more talented player. And from a play calling standpoint, because he can do more than Nick Foles, of course, you got Doug Peterson, who's a offensive wizard, trying to create so many of the splash play instead of calling a good clean game. When he get with Nick Foles is one of the best in the NFL at running the RPOs. He's not even a run threat, but he knows how to run and orchestrate that offense. It also makes them become more balanced and they run the football. And everybody knows the number one asset of the passing game is the play action pass. If you establish the run and you're able to pass the ball out of run formations, you're gonna have success against any defense that you go up against. Make no mistake about it. Nick Foles is the guy for the Philadelphia Eagles as they are currently constructed. Alshon Jeffries, the last 6 games, only had one pass over 20 yards. Last night he had 3. He was going deep and he was going downtown often. Zach Ertz is a great tight end, arguably top 3, top 4 tight end in the game. If you're not talking Kelsey, if you're not talking Gronk, you're talking Ertz. It's just that simple. Ertz putting the works on you. But at the end of the day, what Nick Foles brings to the table is that he allows Doug Peterson to call plays that utilizes the entire attack. The reason why the Eagles was so good last year going down the stretch was because they was able to use everybody. Garrett Blunt, Ajayi, Aguilar, Ertz, Selleck, Torrey Smith, Alshon Jeffries. Everybody was involved in the mix and everybody was involved in the game plan. So that way it was very tough for them to defend. And speaking of a team that's hard to defend, what is going on with the Los Angeles Rams? You don't know? I'm going to tell you. What's going on with the Los Angeles Rams right now, you got a young coach in Sean McVay. He is known as an offensive wizard. He's known as an offensive genius. True enough. But him losing Cooper Kupp was one of the biggest blows that team has taken. Now, they got the key to lead back. They're going to be able to play how they want to play on the outside with those corners. Got a solid secondary. You got Aaron Donald and Sue up there making noise, still kind of suspect at the linebacker position, but their offense is going to have to help their defense out by keeping them off the field. We saw that we are seeing that defense in the last few weeks too much. Cooper Kupp is the reason why this team is struggling. I said it as soon as the injury happened. I was talking to my guy, Darius Owens. As soon as it happened, I said that is going to be a big loss because he was their chain mover. Every easy throw that needed to be made in that offense by design, Cooper Kupp was winning those one-on-one matchups very similar to what Edelman and Amendola does for Tom Brady for years. And the same thing what Wes Welker did for Tom Brady for years. We're going to put him in these option routes, and he's going to always win 90% of the time, and we're going to be able to sustain drives. And then this has also allowed defense to really, really key in on Todd Gurley. They run a lot of zone reads, but it's downhill zone. They run it to the outside, and teams are taking that away. Now, everybody knows the stat, but just in case you don't know, the Rams are 10-0 when he gets 15 carries or more, then 1-3 when he doesn't. He has to get the touches in the run game. I remember me, Glaze, and Maceo was talking about this early in the season. The run game is the run game. The run game is always going to come back to the run game. I remember me and E. Glaze was talking about it, and he was just in tears laughing, but I was dead serious. It's going to always come back to the run game. The Saints get that. That is one of the best things that has happened for Drew Brees the last 2 seasons, that they're able to run the football. All the pressure is not on him. Tom Brady and the Patriots, they are actually doing a good job of trying to run the football. Whenever Sonny Michel is healthy, they run the football with the best of them, and that helps Tom Brady in the play-action pass game because now he gets to suck up linebackers and get Gronk running up the seam free along with Edelman running underneath him and so is Hogan. But make no mistake about it, at some point in time, Reynolds is going to have to step his game up to compensate the loss of Cooper Kupp because he always won that matchup. Very similar to where Cole Beasley was with the Cowboys as a chain mover when he was in the slot. They're going to get him one-on-one. He's going to be able to operate. But Reynolds, even though he caught a great post route in the fourth quarter of last night's game, but that's something going forward that he's going to have to continue to do in order for that team to get back to the level of offense that they were at. Because Robert Woods is still playing at an alarming level. Like I've always liked Robert Woods. I believe that he was better than Marquise Lee coming out of USC. I stood by that then, and I'm going to stand by it now. Robert Woods can play the wide receiver position, but he is – and Brandon Cooks, I don't know what's going on with him. He's not being able to be free. Teams are really locking him up. But I really think that the Rams was defeating their opponents early because they had an attack. They had a whole core unit, and that's how you get it done. It's always nice when you got that one guy that we can throw it to at any moment, but it's also hard to stop a team that has an attack. And I think that's what the Rams got to get back to. They have to realize that the best player on their offense is not Jared Goff. Unlike some people who really thought that I don't want to really say their name. I don't want to put them on blast. But I tried to tell them that their team starts and ends with Todd Gurley. Aaron Donald is amazing. He's going to do what he got to do in controlling the line of scrimmage on the defensive side of the ball. But they're only going to go on offense as far as Todd Gurley taker. He's the best player on that team and one of the top 10 players in the NFL. You have to get him his touches. Look at what the Dallas Cowboys did as soon as they started giving Zeke Elliott the ball 25 to 30 times a game. Good things happen. Keep the good times rolling. Get these guys the football. Make a defense. Stop them 30 times a night. And if they stop them 30 times a night, hey, man, I'm going to meet you at the 50 and tell you did an amazing job. But right now, y'all got to understand, coaching matters. And nobody know the coaches matter until they matter. And right now, Nick Foles is back. The captain is here. He's ready to march and be the man of Philadelphia again. Playoffs are around the corner. Please stay tuned for another edition of Hamid Speaks.